What's up everyone, I'm back. I had a week off last week purely because of the coronavirus situation and the way I was just sort of processing it. I'm the sort of person that doesn't really like being stuck indoors without good reason. Obviously this is good reason. I don't know, the idea of just being stuck in and not being able to do anything just didn't really put me in the right mindset to do a video. I did film one, but when I look back at it, I don't know, I was just swearing all the time and just getting really like het up. So I've calmed down. This week I'm coming away from playing Xbox for 12 hours a day or, you know, just sitting there doing nothing. This is the week where I sort of start to switch on and turn it on a bit. So the point of today's video is I'm coming away from the information side of things and we're sort of looking at the concept of stories and just like things that have happened to me while I'm traveling. I've had quite a few of you asking about this video in particular and just sort of like situations I've been in. I usually come back with quite a lot of stories when I go away. And this story is all about Laos and in particular tubing in Vang Vieng. Now Vang Vieng is one of the three main sort of crucial places you go to if you're going to go to Laos. We only did about 6 or 7 days in the whole country, so we did about 2 nights in each place. We went to Laos purely for this reason. This reason is tubing. Now tubing you can do more or less anywhere in Southeast Asia. All you need is a rubber ring, some water and the right attitude, which we had all three in Laos. Vang Vieng is a really sort of good place for all sorts of travellers really, but it's probably one of the better places for like going out, partying, and the kind of social side of things. To be honest, I think we just fancied it. So tubing got quite a bad name for itself, and to be honest, rightly so. In the past, there's quite a lot of deaths with tourists and stuff because essentially you're on a rubber ring in a really strong, fast current river that basically you sit on a tube, you stop off at bars, and you just get mortal, and then by the end of it, you're a write-off. Since they had a lot of problems with it a few years ago, they have made it a bit safer and reduced the amount of bars. I think there used to be like 20, 30, maybe even like 40 bars like through the sort of few mile stretch of the river. Now there's a lot less, there's only sort of maybe 5 or 6, but as you're about to find out, it only took 1 to nearly kill me and Tom. I'm just going to walk you through what happened and hopefully it will teach you a lesson in terms of how to manage yourself while intoxicated in a foreign country, so maybe I can learn something from it too. Basically it's an early start, you get up about 10 o'clock, get on a little, about to say G-Wagon, not G-Wagon, I wish. It was like a little, like a jeepney, I think they call it, like a jeepney mobile. It's like a 4x4 that's open at the back, just like a little truck thing. So you turn up in swim shorts, a little wet bag, and 20 quid. They literally told us 20 quid's all you're gonna need. So we're like, all right, fine, take your word for it. Get there, and as you're gonna see through the video, I'm gonna put a few clips and pictures in just so you can see what I was working with at the time. Get to this little muddy river bank, a bit of a tongue twister that for some reason, and you're greeted by a local Laotian, which is like the national term for if you're from Laos or Laos, however you pronounce it. And they literally put you on this little, sort of like a little dinghy boat, which is connected to a zip wire, as you're about to see now. And then they just sort of like swing you to the other side of the river. And you start off the first bar. You may remember just now I said that 20 quid was all you need. Put it this way, within about 10 minutes, 20 quid was a pipe dream. It was gone and we had no money left. So me and Tom really quickly were pretty smashed. We didn't really go out that much in Asia compared to some people, let's say, but today was the equivalent of about 10 nights out in the space of 2 days. So I ran out of money really early on and just sort of said to the boys running it, they were some Geordie lads I think, we said to them, look, like we've run out of money, we best just sort of like leaving you to it and we'll just go on the river and sort of like end early. I don't know whether people brought more money or they just sort of didn't drink as much. The Geordie boys like, no, like stay around, like it's fine, we'll just sort you out, in the way that they just kept giving us free drinks and stuff, providing that we played the games. So we're doing like, you know, like beer pong, that sort of stuff, all these like weird games I really didn't understand. I think that was the problem, like the drunker I was getting, the less I understood the games, and then I was getting even drunker. Eventually got to a point where we'd exhausted our bodies, livers, minds, you know, you name it, it was done. We had to go. Quite funny really, because it's a really nice area. You're on like a nice river, it's a bit muddy and dirty, but you've got all these lovely cows and pigs and goats all around you, which is cool. But the end result is far from it. Me and Tom were like, right, let's head off, let's do it, let's go. So Tom gets on his ring a minute before me.
I'm actually having a piss right now. Fun times, bro.
So I'm like, oh my god, like he's gone, I might as well try and keep up with him. So I get on, I've lost him within about 2 minutes, I can't even see him, and this river is fast. I was trying to like paddle to go quicker, but it just made no difference. Can't touch the floor, it's so deep, it's like, I don't know, it could be like, you know, 3 or 4 meters deep, the river. I'm only like 5'11", maybe 5'12" on a good day. Essentially, I was in a really bad way. I was a bit wobbly. It was probably one of the most drunk times I've ever experienced, and I don't really know how. It all happened so quickly. It was such a blur, and lost all contact with anyone. Couldn't find Tom. Couldn't find any of my group. The only people I saw were 3 Chinese people in kayaks, and kayaking is like a recipe for disaster. Like, bearing in mind people have died on this river, I thought, well, a rubber ring's not much safer, but I think the whole thing is sort of, you're asking for trouble. Lose everyone, and it's got to the point where, if you know me well enough, when I'm, in a bad way, it's straight to Snapchat or Instagram, and I'm just looking like a dead person in the camera, just talking to it. So I was filming myself in my camera, giving myself a few like life talks, life lessons.
Pretty lit, I must admit. It's a bit wet, like it's proper wet, and I don't care. It's so wet. It's so wet. It's proper wet. It's fucking out.
So yeah, I was just doing that for a bit, and then it got to the point where my body was like, right, if you don't go to sleep now, it's gonna be even worse. So I basically like passed out, which is the exact thing you don't want to do when you're on fast water and you're drunk. But here we are. The initial plan is you sort of stop off at bars along the way, and then you sort of decide where you want to go from there. I was unconscious for every bar that had sort of passed me by, or that I'd passed by. So I was, there was no chance I was going to see anyone. And then the idea is, at the end, it's a really strong current, but you're basically meant to veer one side or the other, and then you can either keep going and then end in like an estuary sort of thing, or you just sort of get pulled off, they take your ring, and then you get carted back to wherever you're staying. I can't tell you what happened because I don't know. My brain wasn't really there. All I do know is that my ring popped, and I got a fine for it the next day, but I don't know how it popped. At this point, I'm ringless. I don't know, I'm in a terrible state. I don't know where I am. My phone, I've got about 25 missed calls from a mixture of Tom's mum, Tom's brother, and my mum, and the company that booked our flights and stuff. Tom had basically been ringing his mum, saying he was lost in some little random Laos village with loads of locals, like no sign of life or tourism, anything like that. And I couldn't get hold of him at all because the signal was so bad. Had all these missed calls, didn't really know what to do about it. I had a text from my mum saying, what boat are you on? Because Tom had told my mum that I was on this like private boat on a river, which I definitely wasn't. I wish I was. Probably would have put me in a bit of a better position. Literally, not quite sure what happened at all. This is quite a bit of a patchy story because I don't know all the ins and outs, but I'm going to try and fill the blanks for you. So we get to a point where, I don't know, I'm lost. I'm in the same position as Tom. I'm in this village, sort of much further on than where you're meant to be. And the reason I know I was further on than what I was meant to be is because you're meant to just come off at the riverbank and just come off. But the reason I woke up was because of a loud bang. And the loud bang was me like coming off of I don't know, it's probably like a 5 or 6 feet waterfall, and then hitting the water. And it just like made my whole body shake. And I was like, oh my God, like I thought I'd been in a car crash or something. So yeah, that sort of explains how I woke up, and then I don't know how I got off the river, out the river, don't know anything. So I've checked on my phone and stuff, panicking a little bit at this point. I was like, I'm drunk, lost in a really, really foreign country that I don't know anything about. I've only been here 2 days. All I do know is that in my sort of blurry memory, I was losing things like piece by piece. So what I wore was flip-flops, swim shorts, and a Lakers vest or something. Flip-flops, Lakers vest, and swim shorts all gone. So yeah, I'm naked. That's a big problem. I mean, time and a place, so at this point I'm essentially walking through like a Laos village with like this little wet bag, and the wet bag's waterproof obviously because it's a wet bag. It has my phone, wallet, all the essentials, Tom's stuff as well, so like if I'd lost it we would have both been in a dodgy position. Yeah, so I've got this wet bag. I'm literally just, I don't know, can you see me? So I'm walking around holding this wet bag like over the like central area, let's say. Not really sure what to do, just kind of focusing on not losing that or sort of falling over or anything, which I had done quite a lot already. Then the only memory I've got after that is arriving back to my hotel, like face down, just like crawling in through the door naked with this like wet bag on my back, and then standing up like, oh my God, like I'm actually here. I don't know if this is true, but apparently I passed out again, and then the hotel, I don't know if it was like a manager or just like a member of staff, they had to carry me or like help me up to my room and then just chuck me in bed. I was then in bed for a total of about 36 hours, maybe like 30 hours. It was over a day. And when you've had a heavy night and you need like a nap, and you don't feel great after, but you feel a bit better, you sort of like recovered from cringing at yourself and that sort of stuff, and you feel better in your head. I'd woken up about 3 times in that 36 hours and felt worse and worse. Like I thought I was gonna have like a stroke or something. I felt really, really rough. My whole body was shaking. I had cold sweats, hot sweats. If I wasn't asleep or worried about my health, I was being sick in the toilet or whatever. And halfway through the sleep, I realised that about 12 hours had passed and Tom still wasn't back. So I was thinking, oh my God, like if this is the state I'm in and I'm like okay in bed, what the hell's happened to him? No phone calls, not getting anything from him at all. Still got the travel company ringing me up like, do you know where Tom is? His mum's worried sick, his brother's getting really annoyed, all this sort of stuff. Still nothing. About 30, well, probably like 35, 36 hours into my sleep, I heard loads of banging on the door and it was Tom. And I opened the door, obviously I was still naked, so I had no idea what was going on. And I was just like, you know, where have you been? Like, what's going on? And he's, oh yeah, mate, like just sort of went for a beer. And I was like, how have you gone for a beer? We had about 20 yesterday and it's nearly killed us and you've just gone for another one. Maybe that sort of says that I'm maybe the more sensible one. Well, I definitely am, but you know. And then Tom basically had the same process as me after needing to sleep for about 24 hours. I think bottom line, you've probably learned that it's worth it. It's good fun as long as you stay safe, but a lot can go wrong. And it definitely, I mean, I lost my clothes, I could have lost my phone and wallet, you know, things could have gone a lot worse. I think I did learn a lot from it. As much as I wouldn't change it, because it was like a really like crazy memory, you have got to be careful. And I guess just like encourage you to sort of do these things, have a laugh, get drunk with your mates and stuff, but be realistic and don't hurt yourself. If we'd taken it much further, it probably would have been game over for both of us. And we're really lucky to come out of our scratch. As you can see in this picture right now, this was the state I was in. This is about as rough as I can look, and I look rough when I've had a hangover, and so does Tom. And then after that, we basically just drove to the next city and tried to forget all about it. Yeah, so that basically sums it up. Believe it or not the worst thing that's happened to me. That video's coming. I've got it in the vault. It's ready, or it will be ready. Not the worst thing that's happened to me, but one of. So be responsible. Be a bit more careful than me and Tom were, but at the same time, don't say no to having fun and doing crazy stuff with your mates, because that's what it's all about. Any questions, info, suggestions, you know where to come, Ruck Travels. And there's going to be more videos every week again. Going to go back to doing it every Friday. Just needed a week off last week, basically. And yeah, hopefully try and get a bit more stuck into it. But yeah, hopefully this situation clears up soon so I can start like thinking about travelling again. I've had to cancel a holiday already, so hopefully that improves. Whether you sort of want more videos like this, where I sort of like tell about stories, I've got quite a lot of stories. Or if you want the sort of info, I think I'm just gonna like alternate it and do like, you know, 1 week information, 1 week a story or some sort of like vlog from when I've been somewhere. Obviously I haven't even looked for my India footage yet, so that's something to think about. Look after yourself with COVID-19, all that sort of stuff at the moment. Obviously it's a really serious issue, but hopefully it improves. Yeah, so that's the story of how I nearly drowned / drank myself to death in Laos. As always, much love, thanks for everything. Like, comment and subscribe, all helps me a great deal. And stay safe during these sort of troubled times, and I will see you soon. Peace.